diehards out there, welcome to the Public Works and Protective Services Committee. I do have one addition to the agenda. It'll be under my councillor's update, which is some new information on a Metchosin Wellness Collective. So with that, approval of the agenda. Moved by Mayor Little, seconded by Councillor Gray. All in favor? Great. Participation. Would anybody like to speak to Public Works? Okay, that was easy. Okay, adoption of minutes. So it's a meeting of June 10th.
With adoption.
Okay, moved by Councillor Schicken, seconded by Mayor Little. All in favor? And there's a receipt of 2 of the Healthy Community Advisory Select Committee minutes. So I did have a correction on the second one, which is page 12 at 7A, and there's a comment about, find it offhand. Anyway, it refers to the road safety and visibility, but it was actually a Vision 0 in road safety that it was supposed to be referring to. So that was all just to clarify. So other than that, I might as well take both of them together. So motion to receive the minutes of June 25th and September 24th. Moved by Councillor Schicken, seconded by Councillor Gray. All in favor? Okay. All right, so under reports, we have a staff report here on the Chosen School, an update. So perhaps we could have Mr. Payette.
Okay, through the check, 1, 2, through the chair. Hear me? I will go quickly over the report in the interest of time here. Council has a chance to read it, I'm sure, so I'll just touch on the highlights. For everybody, purchased the school in 2017 for $1.5 million. Currently, we've had 3 various leases since then that had limited success. We received a grant for $1 million in 2021 and had a fabulous upgrade of half of the school. Gymnasium and 3 classrooms, hallways. And then in the last year or so, we have been able to do some improvements to heat pumps on the rooftop, second finish layer, the gym floor, bought a number of chairs, supplies for the washrooms, and vinyl flooring in the classrooms and the hallways, which look spectacular. Let's see. We have $61,000 in various rentals in 2024. Most recently, Elections Canada is just finishing up. We have 2 permanent leases. Well, I guess they're not permanent, but they have timed out contracts. Mile Zero and Metchosin Preschool that are going concerns, so that's great. And of note, there are 4 what I would call annual events, which is a good start, I would say. Talk about that in a bit. Under discussion points, daily cleaning takes place. There is we have staff looking at the building on an annual maintenance basis. Daily walkthroughs, I would suppose, would be a good point to add. For security, safety, and liability. The sewer system, we haven't had any toilet issues for a number of months now. After a certain period of time of cleanup. There is a report on the old septic system that we will budget for this year for replacement in the 2025 budget. So stay tuned for that. And we can have discussions, of course, on that during the budget process. I did list a number of discussion points. We don't have to go, in detail tonight, but they are items for discussion, either, now with council or during the ramp up of the Healthy Community Advisory Select Committee, which I wanted to talk about here in the conclusion. So we had an amazing presentation here from MACA tonight, from Chris and Betty, and I thought it was a great presentation, and I support their endeavors. There's talk about the cost neutrality of the building, and then the utility costs. So during the budget proceedings for the building, we can give you details on where those costs come from and where they go. So that's a good question. I think there's room for increasing the annual events. So currently we have the 4, but I have been initiated discussions with MACA and looking forward to maybe more annual events in the building to boost the public use. And just a reminder, in our contract with MACA, we do review their budget at least annually from a cost center point of view. So next, the discussion bullet is the main entrance. So that is again under review based on proposal we are looking at for the use of the second older classroom. So that would, maybe give us more thought about the main entrance and the location of the main entrance. There still are a number of options. And the village square is still possible, and so those discussions are ongoing there. Nothing permanent has been decided, and we'll keep council updated on any discussions in that regard. Block bookings versus rentals. So this is a discussion point to consider when we do block book for example, for Elections Canada, we block book for 3 months. That means there's no opportunity for daily bookings or hourly bookings. So as we get through the management planning and deliberations, would be good to consider a ratio of block booking versus public use. Parking, outside parking, so day-to-day is adequate, but obviously for larger events, we need to get a better plan in place with some improvements to signage, painting of lines, and exit points. Field use, currently, it's not advisable to do any kind of sports activity on the fields. Would not be a safe practice. There's dogs, trainers and whatnot are taking advantage of the space, but it wouldn't be suitable for any sports until we had some kind of plan for upgrading the fields. The management plan was talked about tonight. I would like to take the template of the management plan to the Healthy Communities Advisory Committee to go over the management plan and then debate, have community consultation, and then bring it forward through that mechanism to council. So the outdoor lighting, and then there's outdoor lighting that's required. So we can talk about that during the budget process. In conclusion, we're continuing to seek leasing opportunities for the available commercial space. And so the management plan, as I said, I'm going to provide a draft plan to what I would call the advisory select committee for this building. And we have developed the terms of reference for the advisory select committee, and we can bring that forward to council for approval in the near future. And that pretty much sums it up. That's a lot. I know that's a lot of information. If you had a chance to read it, you probably have some questions. So.
Right, committee, or questions?
Through you,
Councillor Shukin.
Mr. Payette, when will you have the management plan ready? Time frame, like early next year?
Yeah.
Kind of thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
I would speculate early next year.
Great.
Yeah,
Okay.
give the select committee a chance to go through it and improve it, flush it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. I don't mean any disrespect with this question, but what's interesting is if Healthy Communities is being an advisory body in terms of the school, I think we have to make sure we've got the right people there, because effectively they're being asked to manage a recreation. It's a complicated site.
Not
It's
managed.
arts,
Not
recreation.
managed.
Well, sorry, not manage, but provide advice.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So it's a thank you, sorry.
You bet.
So it's a complicated, it's an arts and culture place, it's a meeting space, it's a recreation facility, and it's a commercial space as well. If certain parties want it to be a community hub, essentially. So I'd be really curious to see the terms of reference.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, just make sure we're getting good guidance from those around the committee. So
Yeah, it may be that once the terms of reference come and the committee has a chance to, excuse me, look at it, there may be changes in the members as it is changing its, goals and quite a bit. So we're just going to have to play it by ear and see how it works out. Councillor Gray, you had a question?
Yeah, along the same lines as Councillor Shukin, I think it sounds to me like an extra layer of bureaucracy, frankly. I would like us to see the management plan at council, and then if we need advice, then we could ask for it from someone else. But I don't see the point of bringing it to the Healthy Communities Advisory Committee. When I'm thinking about policy advice on the use and operation of the facility versus the staff role, we already have a facility allocation of use policy. Once we have a management plan in place, I'm not sure what policies would be coming up. If there's an issue around the facility allocation of use policy, well, let's hear what it is and let's tweak it, or the change that might be there. I wasn't aware there were any problems in renting it to BC elections, and the community group, the one group that rents, is the pickleball, and they've stood down for the time. And they knew that was coming. I mean, they were here talking when we brought the policy into place. So I'd like more clarity on what policy advice is needed once the management plan is approved. And then, and maybe I wanted to understand better, are we talking about the advisory committee advising us on the contract with MACA, on the leases with Mile Zero, on other commercial tenants, on the preschool, on the one-if-you-can negotiations? Is the policy all of those things, like how we're doing them and what those contracts look like? Again, I'd prefer to rely on staff for that and legal advice that we might need for contracts. I have a few more points, but maybe Councillor Donaldson has some.
I agree with both my colleagues on that regard, but I do have some other questions as well. In the rentals on the first page of the report, it's reported at $61,000 income so far. 30,000 of that was BC elections, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So we've earned we've earned $31,000. And that's from pickleball and what other rentals have we had in the gym? Or is it not just the gym? I thought it was the gym. It says
It's not just the gym, it's other rentals as well,
okay.
other rooms.
Okay. So I want to sort of then fast forward to the annual events. These are events that are at the facility. Are any of these income generated for the school?
I don't believe the NACA ones are.
Okay.
I think the training, I don't have it in front of me, I don't have the page open, but the training one is generating revenue. And what's the third one there?
It was exteriors.
Exterior.
Chosen Community Day.
Yeah, probably not. No.
I think that was parking.
Yeah.
We did have revenue coming from the Ford, the car show
Right.
last summer.
There was a Ford car show?
Yeah, it's not an annual, it's a one time.
The year before.
Was it last year?
2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, March or April
Okay.
or something. So what I wanted to zero in on then, so it was explained earlier that NACA had a maker's market that was indoors in the gym, and so they make money. These are businesses, and so I'm wondering what the revenue from that was for the district, or did all that money go to NACA?
Okay, I don't know right now, but.
So if we could find that out, that would be helpful.
I just looking at the budget that NACA
Mhm.
put, they are projecting $1,000 from the Makers Market in July, August $1,000, and the Makers Market in December is $2,500. So they have included that in their budget. So I think that's the answer, but I just.
Okay, so it's not clear to me if, they had $55 donation from each table go to Hans Helgesen or to donation to NACA. I think my point is when we're renting out the gym, what is the revenue that we're getting from that? And
Yeah.
the makers are making money, those are businesses. It's not a community group.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's what's the differentiation of it? So how much of that comes to us and how much of that goes to NACA? I think it's clear in the budget what goes to NACA, but I don't know how much comes to us for renting the gym. And that's the question I'd like an answer to, please. When we can. Going down next to, you mentioned about security, so doing a walkthrough. Do we do any kind of security check in the evenings after everybody has finished with their rentals?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Who's ever the last person kind of does around.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I
Or
know.
like mile zero, kind of Michael does a.
Okay, well, I was at a
Sure.
meeting, this is why I'm asking, I was at a meeting in one of the classrooms, and Michael had come in to say,
Yeah.
were we locking up? I wasn't in charge of the meeting, I was just a guest. So I don't know after that, we left about 9:20 or 9:30. So I was just wondering, was there anybody that did a walk around after that? I know we do have our POCs in the evening, is that something that they do?
I think the fire chief has an answer for that one.
Well, right now I'm going through the chair to the CAO, so if we could find out, that would be helpful, especially as we have had some problems in the past. We do know we need some lighting, but we have had some issues at the back of the building. And in regards to parking, we had budgeted for paint for the parking lines. I guess we'll roll that into the next budget to enhance those. And there would be overflow parking. So right now, I'm not sure if anybody is aware, I am, and maybe some people in the gallery, that this field out here, I put all the cones out on the weekend because the market was happening. And after having all the rains that we did, and the equestrians had cordoned off all of the grassy areas on the other side, to not have a repeat of what happened last year with a mud pool. So those are my dilapidated old cones out there. So my husband and I came on early Sunday morning to set those up. So it would be really helpful to have staff know that from basically October, it's usually October 1st, but it was so beautiful this year. So sometime in October to May 1st that we close the fields to parking, the grassy areas, so we don't have a situation where it's remediated. And last year we had a rope across, which I actually just put the rope right through until I came back with flagging tape, so we didn't really see it. So something to cordon off those areas so people don't continue to park. That is our overflow parking in the summer months. In the winter months, it's a little bit different. We are seeing people park on roadside trails, and that is a hazard as well. So I did send out, actually, to all of you at this table and staff, some things that they're doing in neighboring communities with types of curbs that are not permanent, and water and snow can get through those. So those are things that we can think about. I've also talked to our CFO about that and the cost. We should think about trying that out. That might come up during the budget, but the people could park, but we could still have safe passage of pedestrians on those roadside trails too. So nobody's reading signs. Nobody cares about a parking sign. I've got so many pictures of people parking under signs and retaliation verbally from people who park under signs when I politely try to explain to them. Anyways, that's
Anyway,
all
we can get back to the school.
that's all I have right now about the parking. Well, it's the overflow from the school activities. And if we've got stuff going on at the school, we've got stuff going on at the community hall, and here we have so many overflow bookings, which is, you know, if we had a calendar and communication, it'd be great if everybody knew what everybody was doing, where the parking was going to be. It's congested.
Are there any other questions? Councillor Gray?
Well, just back to the role of healthy communities. And I guess when I was looking at it, I'm thinking about the different jobs and what problem are we fixing. So we heard from Macca tonight under Planning Committee. Would that now go to Healthy Communities and then to Public Works Committee? Accessibility issues there, so far Councillor Donaldson, but would they go through Healthy Communities then onto Public Works Committee? The school routes and operations, I'm not sure if we have a councillor who's sort of meant to be tied into that or not, but I think that would be Councillor Epp. The grounds and the community garden would need to be taken into consideration, and would that go through Healthy Communities again? And that's at the moment Councillor Johnson, but maybe that would switch over to Public Works. So I'm just curious who does what and how that all comes together. The active transportation plan now I think is going through PTASC, but maybe it would be coming through this Healthy Communities now. And then, so I'm just, at the moment, I'm looking forward to seeing the terms of reference because it all doesn't seem to come together for me. And I'm not sure what the purpose is and if we're just adding bureaucracy. More comments
just
than
remind
questions.
staff, our council, that we don't have any staff running the school facility. We have 0 staff, so I'm going to do things as quickly as we can with no staff. So if we have, you know, input from an advisory select committee, it might help with the input of a management plan. Otherwise, there's no input that I'm aware of. Oh.
Okay, I think and the active transportation plan is actually going through Public Works. There's just an advisor on the Parks and Trails Committee.
Good to know, thanks. It's good. As I was reading it, trying to figure it out, it gets confusing, but that's great.
Okay, so we have some, there's 2 options there for consideration. One that the committee received a report, the other one that requests further information. So someone like to make a motion on those? Any little?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that the committee receive the report on the Metchosin School 2024 update for information.
And seconded by Councillor Shukin. Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor? Okay. All right, and we have the Productive Services Quarterly Report. So could we ask Chief Dunlop? Okay, face the gauntlet of questions on this one. And could you clarify, Minister, had your hand up when we were talking about the school and the late checks?
Oh, just to respond to that is that I typically go over and lock it up, or I'll get one of the duty crews to go over there and lock it up. Yeah, may not be right immediately because you don't always know when they clear, but.
Actually, my question was even secondary to that is later, like before, you know, well, I know they're doing a 12-hour shift, but some of these bogies might go later or whatever. Ours was going late that night, but I was just wondering if like 10 o'clock they do a walk around the building as well as making sure that they're because on 2 occasions that I've been there, windows are open. And I close them before I leave, but I don't think anybody else knows about it. But I'm just wondering if there's a walk around to make sure windows, doors, all that stuff is locked especially if we're gonna get more commercial tenants as well.
So they currently do not do that on a regular basis. If I know that there's somebody who's late there, then I'll ask them to go over. They are getting paid less than, $2 an hour to sit there. So the risk and liability to them, are we going to hold them accountable for that is something that we'd have to discuss with them and the fire moving forward.
Okay, I just wasn't sure if it was part of a pre-plan.
Not at this point, no. They'd probably be willing to do that. It's just something we'll have to have a discussion on what that would look like moving forward as a level of responsibility. That would be my concern. Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks so much for this this great report. Busy times.
Yes.
It's been a lot. Yeah, and if you have any, anything you wanna add, or if the committee has any questions for Chief Dunlop. Councillor Shukin.
So, Councillor, thank you very much. And Chief Dunlop, great report. Appreciate the way it's laid out, easy to read. Can you make any comments, general comments, about the number of medical emergencies that you've attended to June, July, and August? And thank you for doing so, because we've been through this before, where there's concern about response times with ambulances, and we can get there a lot. Your team can get there a lot quicker than the ambulance can. At least that's my understanding. So any thoughts or comments on that?
Yes, and to be clear, we go to all medical calls, so that's at the request of the Bring Back Our Calls group. So we are one of the few communities that does that. There are a few other communities that are starting to do that as well. And yes, we on average, I think, and again, it changes based on the availability of BC Ambulance, but our average time with the call, the last time I did the stat, which I think was earlier this year, we were on call an average of 43 minutes with every patient, as opposed to like Langford and our neighboring municipalities who are there for like 2 minutes. They don't even get a primary survey done. So it's very different here. And cardiac arrest, which we seem to be having a lot of these days, versus a dislocated knee, for example, we can be on site with them for 4 hours. And the other thing that's really unique lately, and I'm not sure why, it's actually this whole year, has been the concurrent calls. So, for example, just Wednesday, we were leaving the bay to go out to a call, and at that exact same time, another call came in. And then we cleared from both those calls, came back, and right away again, we had another call, and on the way to that call, we got another call. So we're getting a lot of that duplication for whatever reason. It's just really odd.
Thank you.
So we are going to, I have requested the call stats as far as the priority levels, because they're now the color coding, so we can see which calls are the red and the purple, the high acuity calls versus the other ones, so that you guys can also see kind of what that difference there.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, any more questions?
Yeah, I do. Okay. So on the pre-planning, is the pre-planning for, is it public, is it private, is it commercial in-home based business, or commercial just in the quarter? What does that actually cover in Metchosin?
Referring to the pre-fire plans? Sorry,
That's what it says, yes.
Yeah, so pre-fire plans, we do both residential and commercial. So commercial is kind of mandated when we have a complex structure. We want to make sure that we know, where the water hookups are and have a pre-fire plan for that. Very common. What we're doing that's a little bit more unique to Metchosin specific is we're trying to get residential pre-fire plans. So we kind of do a threefold, is we come up and do at the request of the homeowner. We don't impose this on them. A fire smart plan, or we do that home assessment for them, and we ask if they'd like to do a pre-fire plan. And what that entails is us just looking at their yard, which we're up there already doing the fire smart plan, and we're mapping out their driveway and just making a plan, no different than we would for a commercial structure, on if we had a fire situation there, here's a plan, and it's in our book. So we have a kind of almost a site. We do a Google Earth, we don't take any pictures there of the actual house. It's more of the driveway access, where we're going to park our rigs, that kind of thing, and where the water is, because as you know, many homes here don't have any water. So we have to rely on a tender shuttle. So if that's the case, we need to know what our roll call is when that call comes in. So we keep all that, and we're doing that now for residential homes. On top of that, we're also doing a structure defense plan, which means if there's a brush fire that comes through, we can, set a plan out for sprinkling homes if need be.
So, so you said you do the commercial. What about home-based business as they're not commercial zone, but they're business?
So right now, there's nothing that's, I mean, if they asked us to, we would certainly welcome that. It's a bit of a conundrum right now for home inspections because home-based businesses aren't necessarily inspected on an annual basis. They are when they get their business license, but not on an annual basis. So that's one of those things that we're going to be talking with the CEO about and what we can do, because there's a lot of home-based businesses by definition that aren't necessarily home-based businesses. So just needs to have a look at that.
Okay. I just know when I went to my hairdresser in Metchosin, she's no longer there, she had a fire extinguisher and that sort of thing. And I do know there's cabinet shops, which are pretty high risk with dust and stuff like that. I didn't know if we did an annual check on them or not either.
Not if they're a home-based business. We do not do it. That would be a home inspection, and we're not required to do it. If it's truly a home-based business, we're not required to do an annual inspection. We do their initial business license inspection.
And so would that be another business I'm thinking of is bed and breakfast, Airbnbs, those kinds of lodgings, are they inspected as well? Or is that, I don't know if that's anything like resorts.
Yes, so that would have an annual inspection.
Okay.
Yeah.
Councillor Greg?
Thank you. And through the chair, some of the activities you do, this is an impressive report, by the way, impressive the amount of work being done. Some of the activities are revenue generating. And are those ones where I'll just see the word training and then if it happens to involve another jurisdiction, are those the ones?
Some of them are revenue generating. Those are the type of things that we do over at the school in
Yeah.
which that's part of the, if I can kind of touch back, that's part of the 61,000 is that when we hold a course there, we do generate the revenue that's stipulated in the user agreement. So we collect that back. So yeah, there's that little bit. I mean, it's just the daily rental rate that we charge for everyone else. It's also a little bit like, so if I teach a course on a weekend to, for example, a Esquimalt, that's a goodwill thing, right? That's just building relationships with our local community.
Thank you.
Mayor Little?
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for the report. I noticed that in the 2025 recruitments, there were over 30 people in attendance, and you received 22 applications for how many positions?
6.
Ooh. So the word has got out that the training here is exemplary, and that people, when they belong to the volunteer firefighter department, that they often can get the training that they need for putting their applications in other districts, unfortunately.
Yes, but if I can just expand on that a little
Please,
bit.
yeah.
We're in a very unique situation because there are very few departments that actually do provide the training, the 1001 training that we need to do for our recruits, for our own permanent guys here, regardless. We need that for our fire department. So Colwood, Langford, Souk still has a piece of it, but all the other departments are all full IFF now. So they will only bring on 1001 people. Even if they have a POC, a paid on call or a volunteer, if you will, component, they will not do the training. You have to already come with that. So people are, yes, coming here for that very reason. So that's good because we get a lot of people and we have a lot to choose from. But it's also, that attrition that, staying here the long term is a bit of a challenge at times. So typically we get 3 to 5 years out of a volunteer, which, it's better than a lot of departments get. This year we're really excited because we had 3 people from Metchosin, which was stellar. Now, we were not able to hire all of those for various different reasons, but we we're able to get people that are close. We hire this side of Souk Road. That's a priority. Anyone on this side of Souk Road. So you go down to, Station 2 of Langford there, Happy Valley and Souk Road. And then the same on Metchosin Road here. We really try and keep them on this side so that their response time is not too far. We've had a great interest this year and we were able to keep it to as local as we can get it. So.
That's great. Okay, if there aren't any more questions right now, we'll move on to the grant application for the UBCM Community Emergency Preparedness Fund. So could you fill us in on that one?
Sure. This is it's a volunteer paid on call fire department grant. It's always been $30,000 and this year it got bumped up to $40,000. We have been able to replace a lot of hose and nozzles. So our hose hasn't been touched since I've been here, and I've been here for 24 years, so it's starting to get old. We also have a hose budget in our capital expenditure. That's for our high vol hose, which runs about $1,200 per length. So it's very expensive, so we're just doing little chunks at a time. The hose that we're replacing here is our what we call 2.5 and 1 3/4 line. So that's just replacing that hose, little truck by truck is what we're doing every year. And then the nozzles that go on top of that, or go along with that, and they are around $3,000 a piece. So, well, depending on what size. So those are items that we need for fire protection, but we don't currently have in the capital budget, but it's a great way to get the equipment, to have nozzles that now can last us another 25 years.
Great. Okay, well, could we have a motion? Councillor Gray?
No, that's okay.
Or you have
I wanted
more
to ask a question,
discussion?
but I'll wait till the motion's.
Okay.
So I move that the committee recommend council approve an application to the UBCM Community Emergency Preparedness Fund grant application and authorize the mayor and CAO to execute any agreements related to a successful grant application. So
Great. Moved by Councillor Shukin, seconded by Mayor Little. On discussion?
Yeah, just a question through the chair. I've just wondered, I'm supportive of the use of the money and the purchase of the pieces. We've talked before about shoreline spill response, and when I looked up the CEPF grants, it looks like there might be grants to help with that kind of activity as well, which I understand would cost some money to put together. Are we in priorities? Are we doing the right thing, or is this just for equipment, or should we go to CEPF for money for that kind of planning? I'm just wondering about that question.
Sure, if I can. We have worked quite closely with WCMRC, now in Beecher Bay, and all of their crews there, and we're actually working and training with them. So we've had a couple of guys who have been on some spill response courses, and then we're continuing that on a regular basis. And along with Beecher Bay, they have such a supply of equipment, we don't have the resources to do what they're going to do in the event of a spill.
Okay.
So I think, kind of what we talked about years ago, if there was something we needed to do shoreline-wise, that maybe we could look at that for sure. We just don't have a plan there yet.
Yeah.
And in talking with WCMRC, of course, they know everything about spill response, so it's hard to get true information about what we're trying to, where we want to focus that. So absolutely is something we could certainly focus on. It's just a matter if we need to know what we're going to purchase rather than just randomly buying stuff.
Yeah, no, let's not randomly buy stuff. I was thinking of the WCMRC doing the ocean spill, but when it hits the shore, then it's the district's responsibility. And I think when I looked up the CEPF grants, the one I'm interested in is the evacuation planning. What we've heard from the Canadian Association of Physicians for the Environment, what MEASC is talking about, and when we did the review of the health effects, is it's a large-scale evacuation. So that's the planning I'm thinking of more than the actual cleaning up the whatever hits the shoreline.
Right.
Because the shoreline had to be dealt with too by guess who, the district.
So you're referring about the evacuation piece or the spill response piece?
Well, the whole question, what do we do if it hits the shore?
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm okay with the expense here. I just don't want to rob Peter to pay Paul.
Mm-hmm.
If you need the money for the spill response planning, then maybe what's the best use is the question.
Do you want a response to that? We don't have a plan yet. So the plan is where we need to go. And unfortunately, this one doesn't allow for planning per se. It applies to equipment and training.
Right.
But we can look under the evacuation one and see if that's still, I didn't think that was up for 2025, but we can certainly check that one.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. Any more discussion on this? I'll call the question then. All in favor? Hey, thanks, Chief. You're free. Okay, the next thing is the Vision Zero and Road Safety Grant, and considering that that there's going to be the new child care center at Helgesen, 56 spots there. I just got to thinking when we saw the application come in that it would probably be a good time to apply for this grant to add the pedestrian activated solar lighted crosswalk lights at Helgesen. Because the crossing guard will be there during school hours, but there's also going to be other people coming and going to pick up kids from the child care center. So whether we'll get it or not, I don't know. The quote for the lights is just under $9,500, and the Public Works Department feels it'll be between $1,000 and $1,500 to install. And we have all the signs and everything already, so I felt that probably putting in a grant application for $11,000 would do. So I guess just basically asking for approval to go ahead with that grant application. Councillor Gray?
And just a question. I know there's concerns about safety at the corner where the store is and the restaurant and the hall. And I wondered about, it's mostly pedestrian safety. So I wondered about a pedestrian activated light there at that crosswalk. Again, I'm just, sort of competing priorities, and I'm not meaning we shouldn't do one at Helgesen, but I'm wondering if we should consider one at the other, which would be a priority, which would be a higher priority.
I totally agree with that, but I just felt that we were going to wait until the active transportation plan was complete. We were hoping that they'll be giving us some advice on that whole village core area and how best to mitigate some of the problems that are arising with all the extra traffic and congestion that we're having there, because that is a real safety problem at that corner. Okay,
Councillor,
Councillor Schick.
sure, I'll move that the committee recommend council approve an application to BC Vision Zero and Road Safety Program for lighted crosswalk at Helgesen, and authorize the mayor and CA to execute any agreements related to a successful grant application. So,
Okay, moved by Councillor Schick, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Any more discussion? All in favor? Thanks. I think I don't know if I can whip through my councillor's update before 10 o'clock. We'll give it a shot. I think that's there anything else on there?
Councillor, I would move that we extend the meeting past 10 o'clock.
I guess we'll have to.
Yeah.
Okay, moved by Councillor Schick, seconded by Mayor Little. All in favor of extending meetings?
I'll turn into pumpkins or something.
So we'll have to speed read them. Okay, well, I won't be reading all this, that's for sure. And we talked at the other meeting about the RCMP additions of the electric vehicles and the drones. We can skip that. The stakeholders, it's quite interesting, and we have our quarterly stakeholders meetings, and they're trying to ensure that any groups that need radios have them and learn how to operate them in emergencies, which is really important if we lose power. And since our cell service could go down and we don't have great service anyway. And as far as CREST goes, we are currently getting charged the rate of 4.9% of a levy, which is going to support the new building, should be done next summer. By 2027, the levy will go back to 2.9%. So they did, the one note they sent out was the transactions, which is every time someone talks on a radio. On Canada Day, they had 33,271 transactions just on Canada Day. So it's quite amazing, all that radio action. The Arts Commission announced all their grant recipients, and Metchosin got a couple of them. One was William Head on Stage, which received $16,250 toward their latest production, which is currently running, called Hatched. And MACA received $10,570 for Metchosin Ocean Art project, which goes on until July 1st of next year, which includes galleries and parade and various different events that they've got planned. The Senior Association is having their annual flu and COVID clinic on November 2nd from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's down to 1 day this year because of the addition of the community of Metchosin Pharmacy, where people can also get those vaccinations. But so that'll be probably a busy day, but they still will be carrying on with it. We've already talked about the Healthy Communities Committee, which is about to undertake a name change to the Community Service Advisory Select Committee. With a new focus. We know it's still up in the air a bit about, but we're going to be getting the new terms of reference and having a look at that, and then talking about how it's all going to come together. But I think it will help to give the committee a direction and provide, with the school, there's just sort of ideas all over the place, and I think having the committee, just like the Parks and Trails or the Environment Committee, it'll be a way to kind of consolidate different ideas and then bring them back to this table for discussion, and just kind of get things organized, and once the management plan is done, then to work with that, and just actually trying to move the school forward as far as management and goals and things like that. So we move into cell service. Now, I did have quite a lot of conversations with both Rogers and TELUS, and it's just sort of the same thing. They've chosen not very big, and they're still holding on to the former administration, which wasn't in favor of having cell towers anywhere near Metchosin. So one thing they both did suggest in discussions with them is that the committee send letters to both TELUS and Rogers, and would probably to the contacts that I was speaking to is fine, and then they can push those letters on. But just saying to something that Metchosin is now, hoping to have better cell service, and when that comes up, that we'll stay on the radar. So I would just wondered if we could have a motion to that effect, that through the mayor send a letter out to Rogers and TELUS about that. Marilyn?
Yeah, I'll make that motion, and I think it's a great idea. We were told by the province, actually, that the cell service providers were to share towers, and it seems like there's a reluctance on their part to do any sharing. So I would suggest that we send it to them, but also to the new minister when after October 26th, when we know a little bit more, to send it to the province too, because the citizens of Metchosin, particularly on the Rocky Point area towards Matheson Lake and in the area of Duke Road, they really deserve better cell phone service than having to roam to the Washington on a daily basis.
So it's moved by Mayor Little, seconded by Councillor Gray. We did say they are hoping to get. They actually mentioned also that if we could maybe, at least when you're speaking with the mayor, maybe the mayor of Colwood, that we would really support a tower at Royal Bay, because that's really what they're planning, is a tower there, which should certainly help at least the Duke Road residents, keep them from roaming. We still get roaming. We just had a roaming charge yesterday. They usually come in the middle of the night, when we're asleep, that we've roamed to the U.S. But yeah, so that, and we had high hopes that they would be able to join the Crest Tower off Rocky Point Road, but they said the connectivity really isn't there, so that probably is kind of a no-go. So that's unfortunate. They're also looking for land near the Olympic View Golf Club. They'd like to have one there. So, but it always comes down to money, but hopefully one of these years, possibly. So the last thing that wasn't on.
Call the question.
Oh, sorry, I forgot about that. Yeah. Oh, okay. All in favor? Thanks.
Councillor, just thanks for your perseverance on this, and I'm heartened that we've got contacts and we're going to send them a letter now and move this along. So thank you.
Yeah, we'll see. Never hurts anyway. So one thing, timing seems to be everything, but I think CAO Pia was an hour away from from phoning the architect to get started on the entrance plan to the school that we had spoken about when this came. And we had a meeting which two Metchosin women who are both registered massage therapists. One already has a full practice, and they have a wealth of experience, and their plan is they would like to rent the room beside the preschool because it's the largest one, and establish this wellness collective, starting with themselves, and then hopefully branching out into adding additional services such as podiatrist, occupational therapist, acupuncturist, naturopathic doctors, nurse navigator, registered nurse, nutritional support, and so on, as well as having maybe mental health, as well as community programs which might be extended into the gym. They have a business plan. They have plenty of experience. And it was really an amazingly exciting proposal because we've talked about that for years, of the potential of having something like that in the school. So they're interested in a long-term lease if they can get one. So anyway, that's we'd just like to move that we, let me write that down. It's a recommendation that the committee approve in principle the concept of the Metchosin Wellness Collective, and that staff proceed with discussions and negotiations.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Any discussion on this? Okay, go ahead.
No, I think this would be very welcome to our community. I think it's alternative. I think that a lot of the different things they're saying there would capture the interests of a variety of our different residents' needs, and be complementary with the pharmacy across the way as well.
Yeah.
So it's fairly central, and also it's a quiet, moving kind of business that would be suitable and not overuse of the resources or anything.
No, I think it just seems to make so much sense. So. Councillor Gray?
Yeah, to speak in favor of the motion, I think it's a fabulous development. The whole idea of having access, local access to some health services is wonderful. We're all aware that in Colwood, the Colwood Council is moving ahead with a primary care clinic with salaried physicians. And I've been involved in working with the Colwood mayor on that. But the difficulty of bringing that kind of thing out to Metchosin is our small population size. And there's some hope that we'll be able to access services there at the clinic, which will be located in Royal Bay. But having this here in our school right here in Metchosin is just a fabulous development. So I wish the CEO well in negotiating a lease.
Yes, they're actually hoping to, potentially get things started by the new year. So
Great.
It would be great. At least. Any other discussion on that?
It's a fabulous idea. When we met with them, they're exceptionally dynamic and well spoken. They know what they're doing, and they're ambitious in welcoming other allied healthcare professionals into their wellness concept. So I think that'll be a great, absolute fabulous addition, and a service that we can help provide in Metchosin. So I support this.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, a question, all in favor? And the next one would be to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Shukin, second by Mayor Little, all in favor?